Were you at Comic-Con this year?
I was.
Did
I was
you run
there.
the obstacle course?
I didn't realize where it was, so I missed the fun.
Gotcha.
I heard that it was really scary, actually.
It was really scary.
Did you run the obstacle course?
I survived, but barely.
What's it like to actually be producing a show and then getting to experience something like that, where the show really takes off into a new direction?
I have to say, if you took little me when I was maybe 10 years old, 12 years old, and told me that for a living I was going to get to work with zombies and sort of tell stories about zombies and people sort of shooting them in the head, and that was how I was going to make a living. At 10 years old, I would have said, of course, that's exactly what I should be doing. That makes perfect sense. But it's kind of insane. It's like the greatest thing in the world that I get to go to work and talk about zombies and how to avoid them, how to survive, how to sort of kill them. It's great. And then to go to Petco Park in San Diego and run an obstacle course and actually get chased by zombies. It's like the coolest thing. So I'm a pretty happy guy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I know the show follows along with the comic book. So the new characters that are coming this season they were previously introduced. But what is it like to constantly build the show and incorporate without being reliant upon the comic book?
Well, it's a hard thing, right? Because it's a fine line. We want to make sure that the people that are the hardcore fans that know the comic book, we want to make sure that they're both rewarded. Right? So everybody wants to see Michonne. We got to make sure Michonne's in there. But we also don't want to do it exactly the way that is in the comic, because then you're sort of bored because you know exactly what's going to happen. So, with the whole thing in season 2, people expected Shane to die in season 1, and when he didn't, they said, "Oh, okay, something else is going on." But then people got relaxed. They started thinking that Shane was going to be around for a long, long time, and then when he died, it sort of really grabbed them by surprise. So we try to make sure that we hit the clear emotional beats that are required from the book, but do it in a way that's going to surprise you and reward you for doing it. So we want it to be its own experience, but we want to make sure everybody gets what they want.
And speaking of surprises, that's a good segue. What's been one of the biggest surprises for you working with Walking Dead?
Honestly, the biggest surprise to me has been the popularity of the show. I mean, it's something that, when I read this black and white comic book, I thought it was absolutely amazing, but there's a lot of stuff that I like that doesn't seem to translate to a broader audience. And honestly, to see people not just here, but to see women embrace it, to see older people embrace it, to see people around the world embrace it, and the phenomenon that's become has just been, I never really expected that, but it's never failed to surprise me, but please me and tickle me pink.
Working with the comic book and incorporating it into the show, especially as the characters are introduced and maybe some of their life expectancy shifts from what the fans of the comic books, are familiar with.
Sure.
What's it like kind of juggling those balls and keeping it fresh on both ends?
I mean, it's challenging at times. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I guess somebody could say it's a little weird. I mean, I'm actually in the writer's room, working with the writers, actively adapting material that I wrote years and years ago, and actually, kind of continue to write as the comic book series keeps going. So it's been kind of, I guess it's a little bizarre, but it's a lot of fun, and it's cool to be able to, look back at the work I did and go, oh, well, it would be nice to change this, and no, this should be intact, and, I got to hand it to the writers on the show. I mean, they are very much in the, spirit of like, this was great in the comic, we should keep this, and, we should change this, and everyone's really respectful to the material, and, a lot of the, big major changes, I'm really right there, 100% behind it, just because, it keeps me excited and invested in the show as I work on it, because if it was the same material, just doing it over and over again, I would get bored.
Right.
But I got to say, it's been a really fun process, and I'm really happy with how the show's turning out, and I wouldn't change a thing.
And so, how do you feel about moving forward, onward and upward?
Well, look, I'm really happy about season 3. I think that it's going to be the best season of the show thus far. I think that we've got some really exciting stuff. We've got some really good shocks and scares, and just some really good character moments, and a lot of heart, and just everything that everyone has loved about the show, plus more. I think that, when our premiere comes on October 14th, we're going to see that it's probably our most action-packed episode to date, written by showrunner Glenn Mazzara. It's absolutely fantastic script. All the actors just really kind of hit the ground running on this season, and I think people are going to be really blown away from day one on this season, and there's a lot more coming after that. So I would just say strap in and get ready.